No, I did not start recording. So, guys, telling you, keep grinding, keep hustling. Don't leave your basement. Keep grinding and keep hustling uh, on your
Yeah.
stick.
Stay hard, guys. Stay hard,
Stay,
guys.
stay. Yeah, man. Don't just stay hard. Completely, like, consume 7 vials of Viagra.
Bro, Viagra doesn't come in a vial. It's a capsule.
Yeah, whatever. Like 7. Never mind. Fuck that shit. Whatever it comes in. It doesn't let you come though.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, it's kind of different.
Yeah. Let's
But
talk
again,
about
some people,
Let's talk about the stuff
some
that,
people,
on adolescence that you did not discuss yesterday. No, on the last video on adolescence. The guy is white. He has pretty boy looks, and somehow people want us to believe that he was getting rejected by a black mature Becky. Like, come on, man, make it make sense. This is the this is the issue with Hollywood and cinema like that. They would never portray the real plight of men of color when push comes to shove. And funny part is these conservatives, just like those libtards who are trying to fix us, man, we're gonna fix you. Those people, unlike those people, these conservatives were pissed that the guy being shown was white. Bro, what do you want to see? You want a half Asian kid getting bullied every day by white people, by white women? That too would offend you, but yeah, that's exactly what you guys do. If they showed the real stuff, if they showed the real stuff that the black kid was getting bullied day in and day out by, if they showed that the black kid was getting bullied day in and day out by white girls, then that might not also have and being thrown racial slurs at. I don't believe that would also exactly make the conservatives happier.
I mean, who's this movie actually serving to?
I
Like,
don't
which side
understand,
of
man.
the aisle?
By the way, these people would never talk about how men of color grow up undesired, how Asian men and Hispanic men have to make hundreds of thousands of dollars more than white men just to have an equal chance.
Yeah, it's somewhere around $26,000 and Asian has to make extra.
Yeah. By the way, guys,
And they don't.
move on. Let's move on from that. Let's move on from that annoying shit. That show is a spit in the face of young men. They're not talking about the real stuff. And today we're going to move on about typical mid-tier Becky, high-tier Becky sort of moment. I don't know. If this woman was slimmer, she would probably be better looking. But yeah, so
are males really experiencing a loneliness epidemic,
yeah, I'm playing
or
the
are
video.
they just experiencing the consequences of their actions? Those actions being a refusal to evolve with hundreds of times to only get 4 to 5 coffee dates, of which 3 or 4 are going to stand them up. Y'all are not kind people. You have not cried since you were 5.
Yeah, the reasons that men are not getting dates, 80% of men, according to her.
80% of males gonna stop throwing BFs and put in work to increase that 20% percentage?
Bottom 80% of men, have you tried to join the top 20% of men? That's the exact idea.
The days of your grandpappy and great grandpappy are long gone, okay? You were not owed a woman, even in your mediocrity. Because the reality is, a lot of those males in that 80% have no personality.
No personality. We discussed how men on average have better personalities than women.
Or not kind people.
Not kind people. Women themselves are not generally very kind outside of being seen as virtuous.
You have not cried since you were 5.
You have not cried since you were 5. Women do not like men who cry. Women vaginally dehumidify as soon as they see a man cry. Especially for long-term relationships, they don't want men that cry. If men cried, in reality, they would not talk. They would run at the sight of those at the sight of those men.
And you refuse to go to therapy. And on top
You
of
refuse to go to
Some women are
therapy.
actually-
You refuse to go to therapy. Of course, she's talking about guys who were bullied when they were younger. She's not talking about Chads. Chads don't have to go to therapy. Chads don't have to cry in their lives. They don't have no reason to. Of course.
all of that, your male ego is so fragile.
Oh, your male ego is so fragile. Of course, your child is gonna be a future rehab room watcher in today's market. No offense to this lady, she's not bad looking at all. But yeah, with today's market, if it's a son who's a mid-tier normie, he's gonna be a rehab room watcher in the future, or it will be a hammer hand watcher based on how the algorithm works. Or probably even a black pill monkey subscriber, like who knows?
That you could not handle a woman who doesn't actualize or even out-earns you. So where do we go from here? And what kills me about the whole thing is that despite women advancing, you all still have male privilege.
You all still have male privilege. She's absolutely lying, guys. The average young woman is making more than the average man. And the reason that men...
Earning you, there are consequences.
Watch this.
And the reality is, babes, it is year 2025, not 1955, okay? So, if you don't want to put in the work to evolve and join that 20% that women are all going for, there are consequences.
Those 20% of men are not men who are making less than the woman. Those 20% of men are not unattractive men, by the way. Those are not the men that she's going for anyways. How are you supposed to join that 20% of men if you are making less than the woman?
For those actions, or lack of actions, should I say. If you don't want to do the work to be comfortable with the possibility and the likely potential of your woman out-earning you, there are consequences for those actions, Toots. If you don't want to do the work to become more emotionally evolved and actually have emotional depth and go to therapy and work on that, there are consequences.
Guys, therapy is the biggest scam that has ever been. Therapy works on women. Therapy, quote unquote, works on women. And you know how that works? Women are on average, even though she's talking about how women have evolved, women are on average more unhappy. Guys, therapy is like orthodontics. Therapy has been long told by guys like Bruce T. Perry that it doesn't really work. It's telling undesired and socially alienated men to just go to therapy is like getting four of your premolars removed to fix an overbite. It might, for the moment, make you feel better, but over time, it's going to make you miserable. Your body is going to turn into your body will turn into the medical repository of a mental asylum.
For those actions or lack thereof.
I call it as a rat tail syndrome, in which that you fix the symptom of an issue. You cut the rat's tail, but you don't cut the rat. You cut the rat tail, so you believe that rat has been killed, but no, that's not the
You
case.
all's entitlement to women's body.
Yeah. And they should, oh, your entitlement to women's bodies. You know what? What she's exactly teaching is the entitlement that has been going on for so long. Parents like her will teach their sons that men's looks do not matter. Women like her will teach their sons that if you are okay with the woman earning more than you, that would be good. The truth is, there is research to suggest that men who make less than their wife, they are denied sex. That's what happens for the average man. That's what happens. That is the reason of, and those men wanting to have sex is an issue for her, of course, because those are average men.
Blinding y'all from the reality of how much control you have
No, but
in
again, the
said
argument would come that
situation.
you are
It's as if y'all are
entitled
trying to
to sex,
drown
like,
in
come
a
on,
kiddie
sex.
pool. Stand up. Stand up, right? Because long gone are the days of women who are just going to settle for the BS. We're not doing it anymore. So either step your tallywhanks up or shut up. The lesson here is that there are not only consequences for your actions, but there are also consequences that y'all may experience from the actions of those who came before you. Yeah. The consequence of women experiencing decades of having to marry men to experience any kind of autonomy and independence is us.
Wait a moment. How do modern women have to face the oppression, quote unquote, oppression of their ancestors? By the way, would women working labor jobs in the past, every single job in the past was a labor job, including scientific jobs. Every single job in the past, every single quote unquote STEM job in the past might have killed you. Guys like Galileo were killed because they spoke up against that. How about you talk about the fact that historically and even today women are more agreeable, so they don't have the balls to, of course they don't have the balls to speak up against. And Tales talks about this in depth. Women are midwits. They talk about they are very little in the low on creativity. They don't talk about shit. They only talk about stuff that is socially acceptable, of course, which is the reason we are the ones making this
Now
video.
gaining
And only make
autonomy and
videos and
independence and
shit
having
on this socially acceptable topic. She's not going to talk about the less socially acceptable aspects of men who make less than their wives being denied sex. She's not going to talk about that therapy doesn't really work. Therapy doesn't work. Therapy only makes you more miserable, because she has been programmed that therapy is a good thing. You have a problem, babe. You should just go to therapy, because she doesn't know how that therapy is such a massive scam. This is exactly the thing with women. They don't question this shit once. They don't talk about how these quote unquote oppressed women in history who were settling for less were actually simply, they were not settling for less. Settling is a modern phenomenon. That the reason that they were going after men that they were not attracted to is because living, staying alive is more important for an organism most times than what kind of orgasms that you get in bed. Yes, 85% of women in past generations faked orgasms, and that is essentially because most women find most men unattractive. That's not because those men had bad personalities. That's not because those men were oppressive. And definitely not that the acts of those men are faced by women of this generation. But that is because women could not work labor jobs. Women suck at labor jobs. Women suck in an environment that has opposing opinions. They bitch out, and of course they hate each other. Do you know the funny
Also,
part
therapy
is
is
any woman who speaks up against the common thought process of women of the day is immediately called a pick me. A female scientist in the past would have been attacked more by women. Who would, let's say, if there was a female Galileo, she would have been attacked more by women than men.
The thing is, therapy is a pseudoscience. There has been no conclusive evidence that shows that therapy in long term is able to solve most of the issues. Now, if I go to a therapist and I tell him the issues of therapy, he will most likely diagnose me as a narcissist, because I can speak up against it, and that is seen as narcissistic in today's world. Women would just sit there and comply. They would, because they like fucking gossiping. They like to talk about their problems, and when they do, they feel nice in short term. In long term, they are self-sabotaging themselves because they think that they are doing something for the problem when actually they aren't doing something, and that in the long term is very capable of doing them more harm than good. It would be better if they
It has long been proven that women like to talk in small groups and men like to do things. Therapy doesn't do things. And to be honest, in long term, therapy, like I said, turns you into a medical repository of the mental asylum.
It turns you into a cum bucket.
How is that?
Yeah, because your mental condition is
The
going
thing
to be
is,
so
it has
fucked up
never
and
really been about relationships. What she's saying is, women do not settle. She is exactly describing the kind of guy that she is settling with. She wants guys to make peace with the fact that they would be making less than the woman. Do you know what else they would have to make peace with? Not getting fucked. Not getting fucked. That's what she's actually asking guys to make peace with. A woman that you are with. What she wants is a good floor vibe. A guy who cries is not useful for any reason, to be honest. But he is definitely useful to push around. He is definitely useful to manipulate. A guy who's not stoic, a guy who's not masculine in that sense, is easy to manipulate and push around.
The thing is, even if there are certain women who would like you to be open genuinely, you would rather do better by avoiding them, because they inherently would see you as someone. It doesn't matter how much they virtue signal that, oh, you should be open, like partners should communicate. Bro, communicate doesn't has to show crying and all of that shit. I would never show me cry. I would never, expose my tears to my family.
Yeah, and also let's watch this. The men that she actually wants this from, like also something that I noticed. Do high testosterone attractive men genuinely have a tendency to cry? The high testosterone that also makes your face attractive is also less likely to make you cry. Of course, high testosterone doesn't always mean that you are going to be attractive, but the most attractive men are almost always all high testosterone. So they are not going to cry. Testosterone is linked with your ability to make money. What she is asking for is a floor wife. She is not asking for a husband. She is asking for the oofy doofy.
And the thing is, when you point these things out, even guys like Shweta would be like, you can be 20% by, hustling and making money, kaam karo, and all of that.
The ability to make money is genetic. Shwetab doesn't understand that. The ability to get famous is also genetic. If Shwetab was a Norwood 3 and 4 or 4 and he was like a foot shorter, he wouldn't be Shwetab. He wouldn't even have a female audience. He would be making videos like Professor. He always makes a guest appearance in our videos sometimes. He's like the Desi Hammerhead. All roads lead to Hammerhead. He's like Rome, like Rehab said.
Yes, exactly. These guys are like, oh bro, just make your way to top 20%. The thing is, even if you financially make your way to top 20%, what about height? What about your aesthetics? What about your hormonal profile? What about your genes? Your day size?
By the way, last video.
Hey man, can I just your advice on something? Yeah, sure. So I'm taking this girl out, right? First date, steak dinner, come back to my place, hoping to make it to at least third base. Know what I mean?
Oh yeah, man. Yeah, I love third base. You want to find out her hopes and dreams for her future.
Hopes and dreams of a future. Bro, like I said, man, women aren't really happy with careers. That's a fact. Women just want chat. That's the logical conclusion of the black pill. Women, after they have gotten into careers, have only been sadder. They don't really want that. They have been told that it's their choice, not that their careers are their choice, not the puppetry of the billionaires. That's what they genuinely believe in. Your careers are not yours. That is the root module of capitalism, that the employer makes more than the employee.
No, I just want her to take off.
Take off any mask that she puts on for people she doesn't feel she can fully trust. I get it.
This just keeps on getting worse, man. The masks that she puts on for other people that she doesn't fully trust. By the way, the guy is a douchebag. So why does the woman feel like that she can put off those? Why is she going to a date with the guy? Because women don't have personality detectors. This guy is a douchebag, by the way. They are proving the point of the black pill with this shot. The woman already feels comfortable with this guy to go on a date, to get back to their home and quote unquote go to third base, while this guy is a complete douchebag. He doesn't care about the quote unquote hopes and dreams of the future. He doesn't care about the quote unquote
companionship.
She's already pulling down the mask. She's already pulling down the mask for him, even though he has such a terrible personality. Like, you are trying to prove. Are you trying to prove a point? Do these people that make these clips ever see it? Like white people? Do white people have self-awareness?
Now the thing with them is, then these women would come on internet and say shit like, oh, I gave a chance to a man, but then they turned misogynistic and all of that. You gave a chance to a fucking Chad who doesn't have any good reason to be nice to you. You give the chance to a Doofy, he would become your lapdog. But no, you would rather go for a Chad and become his scum slut.
Yeah, that is exactly what happened. Like, these people don't even watch their own reels. He doesn't have an incentive to be with you. Why would he? Why would he care about your hopes and ambitions? In fact, women themselves don't care about that. Let's watch this study, by the way. I'm gonna have to shut off the TV right now.
To catch the vote.
Yeah, watch this study. 2 studies tested the hypothesis that people attend preferentially to high-status men but not women. Participants overestimated the frequency of high-status men in rapidly presented arrays, experiment 1, and fixated their visual attention on high-status men. You know the funny part? The funny part is, women who are making a big deal, they still want men that are making more than them.
Hypergamy, bitch.
The results from both studies support evolutionary theories regarding differential prioritization of social status and physical attractiveness in men versus women. These finds illustrate how examination of early in-stream social cognition can provide useful insights into the adapted mind.
Check this out.
Yeah, by the way, this is the funniest bit. Creative ambitions, bro. How many inventions are made by women? Like there's 4 major inventions of women in the past 5,000 years of human history. 4. Probably how many great queens there have been. And people will be like, but man, it's because women were oppressed. Bro, if women were oppressed, those 4 women wouldn't have invented that. Those 4 or 5 major queens wouldn't have existed. Society doesn't have an agenda against you. You have to be a narcissist to believe that you are so important. Women don't have physical strength. Women don't have major physical strength, and they don't have proper retards or proper geniuses for the most part. They're the proper midwits.
Also the thing is that if women were so strong and capable since day one, why were they oppressed? Like, why did they let themselves get oppressed? You only get oppressed when you are weak. You can't be oppressed and empowered at the same time.
By the way, why did none of these female rulers in history not change up the conscription rules? Why did they not change up the societal system back then? Because it was not useful back then.
Also, the thing is, most of the ministers and advisors of these queens were men, regardless. It doesn't make sense who was at the throne, because most of the administrative
Also find that super
input used to come from men, regardless.
By the way,
But
these
if you
people
see-
are talking. There's something that I need to discuss on this. Women genuinely believe that men find these things attractive, quote unquote attractive, because women don't find a majority of men physically attractive. But they couldn't say that, so they instead suggest that they want ambitious men, that they want men who have creative ambitions, and they expect that it's the same with men. Women don't really like these men. Cluster B personality disorder guys have a higher number of sexual partners. Guess what? Because the genetic pack that creates cluster B, which makes you a social outcast over time, is also associated with good facial features and height. Drug dealers and criminals have more sexual partners. Misogynist men actually have more sexual partners because they are more attractive, because they are facially more attractive. Women only care about these things because they don't find the majority of men attractive. The issue is, it's not the other way around. Men find the majority of women attractive. That is the reason, for the most part, it seems like that men absolutely do not care about this. If the woman was horrendously ugly, hell yeah, man, hell yeah, men would be going after those men. They would suddenly start finding careers and personalities and creative ambitions interesting. While cheating behind their back. That this is also kind of proven, by the way. Rich women with younger husbands are the group that are cheated on the most.
So you are telling me that cougars are getting most cheated?
Yes, rich cougars are the
Oh,
ones
fuck.
getting cheated on the most.
Oh man. I mean, I'll probably continue this trend.
Bro, what is wrong with you?
I got okay. Yes, again. The reason
Like
why they
men
find
don't have to want these things from most women. They find most of them attractive anyways.
Yeah, see, that's it. It's that
intellectual. Yeah, people watching this would probably be thinking that we are saying the exact same thing as Andrew Tate, but no, guys. The thing is, this is actually true. Like Tate might be scammer and all of that shit, but when it actually comes to understanding women, he has pretty good grasp. I'm not going to lie. Like he copes with the things.
No.
Like
He would say that he would instead say that women find those things attractive. That is what women want you to believe. They don't find those things attractive. They find those things useful. If you don't have the attractiveness.
Yeah, exactly. He has
Nice
good,
work.
pretty
This
good
is a
ideas, but
perfect time right there.
again, when it comes
This
to
is what I'm talking-
execution, he kind of fucks up.
Yeah, this last bit also
conflict
proves what I'm trying
with
to say.
gentleness and humor.
Listen, take out trash bins,
It's just words.
kitchen work
How
is
do we
foreplay. Yeah, we all know those studies that men who are shorter have to have to do more housework. Men who are of a wrong race, of course, they haven't made the same studies on the face. Men have to do these things when they are not found attractive by women. Period.
Yeah, and again, if women were looking so much for a companionship and a supportive, emotional husband, why wouldn't they go for shorter guys? Because shorter guys, of course, contribute more houseworking hours. Why do they don't go for them? Why
Bro,
only 6 to 6 feet?
the reason that shorter guys contribute more to house hours because they have to do that.
I
They
know.
have to do that.
Bitch, I know. I know this shit. Alright, I'm just asking a question to them to disrupt their worldview because they don't seem to.
Yeah. So we'll leave you guys with that question. So see you guys in the next one. Keep coping, keep hustling. Shoot yourself in the foot.
Keep coping, keep coping.
It's over. Never began. Bye, guys.